back, relax, and enjoy as Don Tony gives you news and reviews from AEW, NXT, and indie wrestling too.
Know what's happening in the world of wrestling without the hate and clickbait.
It's Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite. For January 12th, 2022, I am Don Tony. How's everybody doing tonight? AEW Dynamite just went off the air. Pretty fun episode, got to tell you. Not a bad show. You know, didn't do too much, didn't do too little, just about right. I enjoyed it. Big shout out to everybody who's tuning in live, everybody on the replay as well. We're going to get right into all the news. We'll talk a little bit about Dynamite, give you some NXT results, some news tidbits as well. I wanted to just open up with something I posted on social media tonight. And I almost kind of regret doing so because, you know, I think the people that don't like AEW are just going to use it as ammunition, as darts. I don't do things to throw darts. But as I was watching Dynamite tonight, a couple of things I noticed. Number one, crowd very, very, light today. In fact, I think just the let's go Wardlow, let's go Punk chants, I think that was the loudest reaction of the whole night. But it seemed a lot lighter than usual. And every time I would see them do a side angle, it looked like a lot of empty seats. So I go and I click on all the people that cover AEW live, and I don't see anybody commenting about it. I go to that website that usually talks about that AEW sold 98% of their tickets, couldn't find anything. Then I start just doing a simple search, and you start seeing pictures like this. There's video online of it. There was a huge, huge number of empty seats tonight. Now, why are you asking why I kind of regret posting that in the first place? Well, the PNC Arena for concerts holds about 20,000 fans. So if AEW was only 40% capacity tonight, it's still about 8,000 fans. So there might have been a bigger attendance than I thought. Steve Joseph, shout out to you, my friend. Thank you for the 5-spot super chat. Do I think MLW has a case against WWE? Well, believe it or not, that was actually the last topic that I was going to get into tonight. Guess I'll get into it now because it's really only going to take me 2-3 minutes. Let's talk about it. Let's zip right through it. MLW's taking WWE to court. Now, I'll give you my immediate thoughts of this. Expect a lot of, how do I say it nicely? A lot of whack jobs to start saying that WWE knocked down the forbidden door because they knew this lawsuit was coming. Let me read you the press release by MLW, and then I'll give you my added thoughts to it very quickly. Major League Wrestling, MLW, filed a lawsuit yesterday against World Wrestling Entertainment. The federal court antitrust lawsuit, now listen closely, is based on WWE's ongoing attempts to undermine competition in and monopolize the professional wrestling market by interfering with MLW's contracts and business prospects. As described in the complaint, WWE pressured third parties to abandon contracts and prospective relationships with MLW. WWE's misconduct included disrupting every level of MLW's business, including a major streaming deal for MLW, which would have been transformative for the company. MLW also alleges in a complaint that in early 2021, after MLW announced that they were in talks with Vice TV to air MLW on that network, a then WWE executive warned Vice TV that Vince McMahon was pissed that Vice TV was considering airing MLW programs and that Vice TV should stop working with MLW. Vice TV executive responded that WWE's conduct was illegal and an antitrust violation, with the WWE executive responding that she could not control Vince McMahon. WWE has been wrongfully depriving its competitors of critical opportunities for many years, but its latest conduct have been even more unconscionable. I think we speak for the rest of the professional wrestling world when we say that this anti-competitive behavior has to stop. WWE's ongoing misconduct has hurt fans of professional wrestling and competition in the professional wrestling industry. Through this lawsuit, MLW seeks to recover its losses due to WWE's interference and to enjoin WWE from future interference. That the quotes are from Court Bauer. Now, WWE, their basic statement is, look, we're going to defend this shit to the furthest extent of the law. They didn't use the expletive. But yes, Michael, that was the first thing I thought about. Where's Andrew Yang to help? Where was he? I told you all in January of 2021 that by the end of 2021, you will realize Andrew Yang did zilch. Pental zero. Did nothing, nada, a goose egg. Now, as far as this lawsuit goes, I'm starting to read some details on it, and there's a few things that don't seem to add up. So I don't want to jump the gun. MLW, you know, when you look at the history of WWE being taken to court, I don't know how strong of a case MLW has. It's interesting because Court Bauer worked for WWE for a very long time. It's just interesting to see him taking them to court now. Look, I want to see if executives from other mediums that, you know, the MLW is claiming WWE interfered with, I want to see them testify. I want to see how many witnesses come forward. That's going to be the key. And something tells me maybe one or two might make a claim. But if they're claiming things, you know, with streaming media and none of those executives come forward, now you got to remember something. You know, if this has to do with Peacock, if this has to do with Peacock or something of the sort, there's nothing stopping MLW from doing deals with other networks. But if this somehow has to do with Peacock, just think about this for a minute. You got hundreds of millions of dollars in a deal with WWE. You think anybody is going to go against WWE? I have a feeling that when it comes to witnesses, it's just going to be allegations. And I don't think anybody really strong. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if WWE settles out of court. I wouldn't be surprised. But that's my thoughts on it. So, you know, we'll see what happens. I'm going to read more of the lawsuit over the weekend. And if I have any other, you know, feelings on it, I'll let you know. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. All right. Now, I'll leave it up to the live friends out there. Should we get right into Dynamite, or should we talk about the hacking, the unfortunate wrestlers in AEW and WWE and elsewhere who were gullible enough to think that they were going to get loads of free sneakers from scammers? Should we talk about the scammers first, or should we talk about Dynamite first? Just please type fast, because everybody on the replay, you know, may want. All right, so we got a couple of votes for hacking. I'll get into whichever one you want, Dynamite or hacking. The hackers or Dynamite? The scammers. All right. See, now I see. You want the juice. You want the gossip. Okay, let's talk about scammers. Lance Archer, who made his Dynamite return tonight, very, very happy. So glad that he is recovered from that very scary injury that he had. I'm a big fan of Lance Archer, so glad he's back. We'll talk about what he did tonight during the Dynamite review. Lance Archer fell for it. Omos fell for it. Wyndham, believe it or not, I don't believe fell for it. I think he actually legitimately was hacked. He didn't fall for the phishing schemes. AC Romero fell for it. Some independent wrestlers fell for it. I think Angel Garza also fell for it. Musicians, if you do a Twitter search, you'll see a lot of people in the music world fell for it. A lot of football players fell for it. And what am I talking about? Anybody that follows me, especially on the Thursday shows, I've talked about one of my favorite, genres to watch on YouTube is like scammer revolts or Kit Boga. These are people who fight back against the scammers. The ones that call you up, hello, this is Amazon. We owe you a refund, $399. Or they'll call you up, oh, you had antivirus software with us, and the company is going out of business. We want to give you the money back. So, all the scams. You get calls. So what happened with all of these people? Soon as I saw free kicks, sneakers, I remember one of the scammer episodes. I'm going to share with you right now what these wrestlers fell for. Now, look, I'm not going to make fun of these wrestlers, but over the years, wrestlers, regular folk, there's a lot of people who claim to be tough guys, tough gals, strong, street smart, whatever you want to call it. But yet, when I show you this, you're going to just scratch your head. How do millionaires in the NFL world fall for this crap? How do wrestlers fall for this crap? I'm going to show you right now, live, an actual scam site that a lot of these wrestlers fell for. And believe me, there's a lot of other wrestlers that are coming out and saying, you know what, I almost fell for it. They knew something was up. Props to those. But when I actually show you this, you're going to sit there and you're going to say to yourself, how does somebody fall for something like this? Okay, I'm going to put up now the chat room. Can I take the chat out of here? Let me see if I can take a pop-out chat out of here because I want to see your reactions while we're doing this. Yes, I can. Okay, good. All right, so I'm now going to pull up a website. All right, this was one of the websites. There were three. This is one of the websites that a lot of wrestlers fell for, and it's brkicksmodels.com. And basically what the hackers were doing is the hackers would send a DM or an email or, a private message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and they'll say, we have this company and we would like to have people, represent us, or if we give you some free pairs of Jordans, or free pair of shoes, would you wear it, as like an advertising in return. Now, you look at this website right away and you say to yourself, okay, where are the pictures? Where are the pictures? This is actually the website that a lot of these wrestlers went on expecting to get free sneakers, free kicks. Now, what the person would say in the DM is you have to log into your Twitter account or your Instagram account, and then it would link up to this program. Now, the funny thing about it is they would go to login. Now, you click on login, all right, and you see sign up with Google, sign up with Instagram, sign up with Twitter. So you click sign up with Twitter. Now, all you do is you log into your Twitter account, but when you log in here, what ends up happening is they get your email and your password. So all of these wrestlers that went on this website, ooh, free sneakers, they clicked on sign up with Twitter, and they actually typed in their email address and password for Twitter, and it said, thank you, we will get back to you soon. So the scammers would then go into their Twitter accounts and they would post, hey, does anybody out there want a PS5? Anybody out there want to buy a championship belt for cheap? You want to buy a title for $50? DM me. And then they got fans that actually would sending money, and they think that they're doing deals with the wrestlers. Now, let's go back to this original website just to show you, with all due respect, how naive even like the most successful wrestlers, NFL players, musicians, how naive and stupid some of them could be. If this happened to me and I went on this website, the first thing I would do is I would click About Us. Now, you'll see, all right, still no pictures. All right, who are we? Now, for those on audio only, let me read you this paragraph. And I can only imagine how many wrestlers actually read this and still gave them their Twitter information. Oh, I'm getting to the WordPress theme verse. Here at Instagram Kicks, we value integrity, gaining customer trust, and ensuring our buyers, affiliate partners, employees, and athletes or musician models feel safe, secure, and fine with their payments and browsing of the site. We actively look for more ways to appeal to a broader spectrum and audience, as well as diversity, despite the fact that we are a proud Black-owned business. We were founded in 2009 on the basis that one day our social media platform would exceed 10,000 and eventually grow to become even bigger. It wasn't about the money. It was about the opportunity to support many individuals who are affordable and reasonable costing shoes. And it goes on and on and on. We need models. And there's an Instagram. Now, they sell shoes. Do you see any link where you could buy shoes? Is there any link buying shoes? Nothing. There's no link to buy shoes. It gets better, everyone. It gets better. All right. You want additional information? Oh, this is priceless. Watch this. You click additional info. Coming soon. Model program. CFL, NFL players, female models, and musicians. And they didn't want male models, by the way. All right. You go to contact. Office hours, 24/7, every day of the week. Look at this fucking website. Look at the email address, defaulttrap at gmail.com. Look at this, defaulttrap at Now look at the phone number. You see the phone number, 984-235-2775. I'm going to take it off the screen for a minute. All right, I want to show you. Here's the number. See the number? I'm going to connect it to my mixer, and I'm going to call the phone number right now. I'm going to call the phone number right now. Ready? Look, watch. Nothing. Let's try it again.
We're trying to reach is no longer in service.
Yeah, one more time.
The number you are trying to reach is no longer in service.
The number doesn't even work, everyone. All right, let's wrap this segment up. I want to go back. I want to show you one more thing you'll get a kick out of. All right, so we have already gone to additional info, which doesn't have anything. We go to contact, which has this. We go About Us, and it's got this stuff. All right, now you go to home. Okay, I'm going to click home. Okay, affiliate program, modeling program, support authentic shoes. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. All right, there it is. Okay, watch. See, you go, instead of clicking home over here, you click over here. Watch what happens. Look at the domain. zoop.webnode.com. That is someone's webpage. Zoop is the user. It's not actually that link. Here's the best part. You see where it says app download? Oh, let me download the app. Watch what it does. The app takes you to an actual application. You can't see it on here, but that's not their app. It's an app for some other sneaker company. But yeah, this is all 100% fake. Look, Instagram Kicks, the best Jordan supplier in the net. Black-owned business. This is what they fell for, everyone. You think this right here. Oh, let me call them. What time do they close? We're open 24/7 every day of the week. The phone number's no good. The email says default trap. Unbelievable. This is what they fell for. That is what they fell for. Yeah. Powered by Webnode. Everything is fake. That is a scammer website. That's what these NFL players, musicians, professional wrestlers have been doing the last couple of days. They thought they were getting free sneakers, and they actually gave their Instagram logins. They've given their Twitter logins. Some of you out there, no fellow wrestling fans, that you probably have seen them write the last couple of days. Hey, guys, if you're trying to contact me on Instagram, I got hacked. All right. I don't want to name other names, but all of the people that have said that they have gotten hacked the last couple of days, this and 2 other websites is what caused it. Now, here's the beauty part of it. I'm going to show you one last thing. Look at this part in the lower right-hand corner. Additional affiliate program. Would you like to earn a small percentage of funds made just by sending eventual buyers a link? If so, please join our sponsorship program. You may have seen the one that I think AC Romero got. It was some random email address and said, if you're interested in this, email me back. These were regular people that thought they were signing up for a legitimate affiliate marketing program. So they were actually hiring regular wrestling fans that were scammers. They didn't even know it. How do you fall for a website like that? I mean, the minute you look at it, you could see that something doesn't jive. But it's the black-owned business part is what really got me out of everything. Because you could picture that would be, because let me say this, for anybody out there, if you've paid attention the last couple of years with a lot of civil unrest, and you see how minority neighborhoods were treated a little bit differently with the vaccinations and testing and everything like that, and it seemed that the economy has been hurting minorities more than anything else. So what have you been seeing in local governments for the last couple of years? They do programs, they do grants for minority-run businesses. You see people, there's Amazon. There's a link on Amazon. You could click on a link and shop only from minority-owned businesses. So what do these scammers do? Oh, if you buy from us, you're buying from a black-owned business. These people fell for it. I feel bad for them. But you look at that, you just say to yourself, how do you not think something is wrong? You click on login. They gave their personal information. Yeah, we'll get back to you tomorrow. And meanwhile, they're hacked. Unbelievable. All right. So we got that out of the way. I just wanted to share that with everybody. All right. Let's move on. And, I wanted to give everybody a quick heads up about something. Liam Savage, welcome, my friend. Thank you for coming to channel member. Don't forget, everyone, tomorrow, Q&A with Don Tony at 10:05. The live stream is going to be open to members only. It's a little something to give back for our members. So if you're a member, join us tomorrow night. We're going to have a very intimate, very fun show. I have a few things up my sleeve, even though it's short tonight. Any of you out there that were seriously thinking about going on the Chris Jericho cruise, all right, you may not be aware of this already, but the Chris Jericho cruise has been postponed. It was supposed to take place February 2nd through February 6th. Now, you might have seen recently a lot of wrestlers announcing they were going to be on the Jericho cruise. You know, a lot of wrestlers not even affiliated with AEW. It has been postponed until, it was supposed to be March 14th. I take that back. March 14th was supposed to be the Rock and Wrestling Rager cruise. It has now been postponed until February 2nd, 2023. No Jericho cruise in 2022. I think that's the right way to go. You know, we this Omicron, hopefully by spring, you know, it'll be almost out of here. You don't want to book it and then cancel it and book it, because that's a lot of coin that a lot of wrestling fans had laid out. Now, anybody out there that did already reserve, and I know some of my friends out there did have their tickets purchased. You go to chrisjerichocruise.com and you basically tell them if you want a refund or if you want to let it ride until 2023. But they will not process the refunds for about 2 weeks, I believe. They got to take the money back out and put it back into a holding account. So I'm not saying that the money was spent, but there's a little process. And there's going to be some people, I want my money now. I don't want it in 2 weeks. I want my money now. I paid in advance. I want my money now. It's canceled. All right. Later on, we'll talk about Ring of Honor's return on April 1st, and that is not a New Year, an April Fool's joke. I will give you my thoughts about the Supercard of Honor that will be taking place on April 1st. Anyway, let's talk about AEW Dynamite. PNC Center, Raleigh, North Carolina. Attendance unknown. And by the way, for anyone out there that I saw wrote earlier, well, they might have had snow today in Raleigh. The forecast today was sunny and 54 degrees. The low was 39. There was no bad precipitation. There was no snow. So it was not a weather issue. I just think, look, why do I think the building was very, very empty like that? Number one, I think a lot of scalpers, they always buy boatloads of tickets and they can't get rid of them at the last minute. They will hold on to it, and then they get stuck with it. Also, I think with Omicron going on and with cases just exploding, there's a lot of fear out there. Even though, look, we saw Matt Jackson return. He is recovered. Cody is good. We talked about it on Saturday. This whole interim TNT championship was just for a week. That's all it was. That's all this was. Cody could have come out there today and issued a challenge for the following week. They could have done something different. Now, interesting enough, AEW Dark, that was recorded the same night as Battle of the Belts, they had 3 champions, well, technically 4, wrestle on AEW Dark, including Hangman Page. They all wrestled on AEW Dark. So that night for Battle of the Belts, believe me, you don't think people showed up for Battle of the Belts just for 3 matches and that was it. They got treated to AEW Dark. And I got to be honest with you, this week's AEW Dark is pretty stacked. That would not be a bad card for a house show, believe it or not. If you add Battle of the Belts, I mean, obviously you're not going to give, a house show 20 matches, but you take away half of those dark matches and you give them that plus the Battle of the Belts matches, I think that's a pretty decent card. So AEW opens up tonight with Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. Adam Cole reminds everyone that he is undefeated since joining AEW in singles competition. And, we've talked about that already. And he says the boys are back together and it's a new era in AEW. This proceeds for the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler to come out. Matt Jackson says, no, guys, this is our company. And they remind everyone that they're the longest reigning tag team champions in AEW history. They want their belts back. Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, I've said this before, I think there's a lot of people that don't realize how many years they've actually tagged up, not just NXT. And they want the tag titles. And no team is going to stand in their way, not even the Young Bucks. And Adam Cole's trying to calm everybody down. He's like, it's friendly competition. Isn't that what everybody wants? Crowd likes it. And, Kyle O'Reilly earlier poking fun at the super friends, the best friends. And then what ends up happening? The best friends come out. And Adam Cole goes right into Orange Cassidy's face. Orange Cassidy attacks Adam Cole. They get a big brawl going. As the brawl is going on, Chris Statlander hits the ring. By the way, whatever happened to Chaos Project? Where's all the Japanese influx from Chaos? Chaos. What is this, 9 weeks already? Chaos. So anyway, lots of members of Team Chaos are in the ring, and they're getting into it with, I don't know, is it Paragon yet? It's not. But Chris Statlander gets in Adam Cole's face. This proceeds to have Britt Baker come out and she hits the curb stomp onto Chris Statlander. She super kicks Orange Cassidy. Adam Cole does the same. They tease the kiss thing with the Young Bucks, but no, Britt Baker kisses Adam Cole instead. So later on, we find out that we're going to get a mixed tag match next week. Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole and Britt Baker. Now, if everybody tonight was like, oh, that's AEW copying WWE with Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Miz and Maryse, so what? So what? I mean, so what? Really? I mean, that's going to be a fun match next week. Seeing Adam Cole and Britt Baker teaming up, it's something that I don't think we would have expected to see. So next, we get Wardlow versus CM Punk. Now, if anyone out there that saw my thumbnail throughout the day today, this is pretty much what I expected it to be. I was even joking earlier. I said, okay, we're going to get the Chicago-made fruit roll-up tonight. And look, I get everybody with the analysis after the match. Oh, this is the way it should have been booked. They did it perfectly. They did this, they did that, they did this. Well, how come nobody threw those ideas out before the match happened? All throughout the day, for the last 6 days, I saw almost nobody saying, hey, they should, do this, do this, do this. And then, CM Punk with the fruit roll-up, blah, 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 whatever. After, oh, yeah, no, that's exactly the way I expected it to go down. Yet they was silent for 7 days about it. So what ends up happening with this match? CM Punk is getting his ass handed to him. Competitive match at the beginning. They go to commercial break. Wardlow proceeds to nail 5 powerbombs on CM Punk. And here's where the dopiness comes in a little bit. And I'll explain why. I love the match, but I'm going to explain why there was some dopiness also. CM Punk eats 5 powerbombs. Wardlow puts his foot on Punk's chest. Remember 2 weeks ago when I said Wardlow should be putting the foot on people's chests? Thank God Omar started doing it too. Wardlow puts his foot on CM Punk's chest. Aubrey Edwards starts counting, and MJF climbs the ring rope. She stops the count. MJF says to Wardlow, I want more. Oh, MJF says it to Wardlow, I want more. Wardlow looks pissed off. Come on, man. I was just going to pin CM Punk. MJF, do your job. I want more. So Wardlow gives him 2 more power bombs. Then MJF clears out a table outside the ring, and he wants Wardlow to powerbomb CM Punk through the table, which Wardlow does. Doctor's checking on CM Punk. Aubrey Edwards starts counting, and here's the ultimate dopiness. CM Punk is struggling to get back to the ring, and MJF is standing outside the ring right next to CM Punk, and he's trash talking him and everything. And Aubrey Edwards counting. She gets to like 5, and MJF walks the other way. And I'm saying to myself, what is this dope doing? It's not his fault. It's the creative. He walks the other way. You're going to let CM Punk just get back in the match? Now, I know what you're going to say to me right now. Well, DT, maybe you wanted Wardlow to continue beating the crap out of CM Punk. Well, go back and look at MJF's reaction when CM Punk rolled in at the count of 9. When he actually, and MJF just watching him slowly get back in the ring. He's just watching him. He gets in at 9, and MJF is like all upset, standing right there watching him get back in the ring. So what ends up happening, CM Punk is like a sack of potatoes. MJF, this little distraction, CM Punk with the fruit roll-up, and gets the win on Wardlow. After the match is over, Michael, why are you talking about Doudrop tonight to me? With all due respect, we did Breakfast Soup Raw on Monday with Mish for 90 minutes, and we talked about 7 minutes about Doudrop. If you want to talk to everyone in the chat room about it, I'm cool with that. But me, tonight is not about Raw or SmackDown. So, but Benjamin is saying MJF interfering would have been a disqualification. We're talking AEW, right? Because we had one DQ in the history of Dynamite. Now all of a sudden people are going to be DQ'd. Do you see all the shit that went down tonight with people interfering and stuff? Did you see like weapons being used? Come on. Don't give me, you know what Aubrey Edwards would have done? Out of here. So anyway, yeah, okay. So Michael actually, he was responding to someone. It's all good. So Wardlow loses. He gets pissed off, and he teases that he's going to attack MJF. He grabs MJF's hand, and MJF is like, whoa, 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 whoa. And the crowd is getting into it. And look, this crowd, like I said, you know, it was a smaller crowd, but they were loud for this match, and it was hot. I was very surprised this match was going on so early. I have nothing against Daniel Garcia. I have nothing against Sammy Guevara, but it's really baffling to see sometimes some of these matches to close out Dynamite. I don't mind good opening matches. I've been professing that for a long time, but to see that close out because so they could have Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho have a dumb confrontation to close it out. You're selfish, Chris. You chased away 2.0. You're selfish. You always got to do it. This is like Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair arguing over Reggie. That's what it sounds like. Two grown-ass adults. I mean, could you imagine Eddie Kingston's character? This is not his fault. Imagine Eddie Kingston's character coming from, New York, the Bronx, not too far from me, streets, everything like that. Imagine somebody coming out and like fighting people off. Imagine being on the streets and be like, don't do that. You're jealous. Yeah, it's all about you. You're jealous. No, people would fucking laugh at him. They would give him a wedgie. They give him a couple of wet willies around the ears. What did you say? Oh man, it was stupid. Very stupid. But I'm a little surprised. I mean, maybe even do this at the 9:00 hour. Why not have CM Punk and Wardlow at the top of the hour? They opened up with it. I was a little confused with why would we want to fucking see Bear Country at like right before the main event? I know you want to bring people up or down, but I'll tell you, once we got at the 9:00 hour and you realized there were like 4 matches still left, and you knew Guevara and Daniel Garcia was going to go probably 15 or so with the intros and the outs, 20, 25. You're like, wow, there's going to be some very, very quick shit tonight. And we did. We did. So next we get Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dante Martin. And this was not a bad match. But, a lot of people are starting to voice what we've been joking about for the last couple of weeks, and that is Jay Lethal's use on AEW Dynamite, or lack thereof. So tonight we have Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dante Martin. You got Ricky Starks at ringside. And the match, pretty good back and forth. I'm a big fan of both guys, and it was cool to see them in the ring. So at one point towards the end of the match, Ricky Starks is standing on the apron. Now, think back when MJF stood on the apron and Aubrey Edwards stopped everything that she was doing to address him. When you go back and you watch Ricky Starks on the apron with that evil look on his face, go look at the referee. The referee is literally standing on the other side of the ring like this. Doing absolutely not trying to get him. Get down. Out of here. What are you doing? Get down. He just stood on the outside of the other side of the ring. Why? Because, and the funny thing about it is if you go back and you look at it, Ricky Starks was looking at Powerhouse Hobbs. Dante Martin was outside the ring. He was on the edge. Ricky Starks is looking at Powerhouse Hobbs. So the ref is not doing anything. Next thing you know, here comes Jay Lethal. And Jay Lethal pulls Ricky Starks off of the ring apron. And again, if you go back and you look, and Ricky Starks is just looking at Powerhouse Hobbs. He didn't tease attacking, Dante Martin at all. He pulls him down. And it was almost like, don't look at Powerhouse Hobbs. Jay Lethal pulls him down. And what ends up happening? Jay Lethal causes a distraction with Ricky Starks. Powerhouse Hobbs looks the other way. And you have Dante Martin hit the nosedive, and he pins Powerhouse Hobbs. So it looks like they may set up Dante Martin and Jay Lethal versus Hobbs and Starks. That's a possibility. What happened to Leo Rush? Just asking a question. What happened to Leo Rush with all of this? But so we get a Jay Lethal sighting, and that's what his job was tonight. So, and by the way, I'll show you it now. Just random. Somebody sent this to me earlier. I don't know who made it, but if you remember the first 3 months of Andrade's run in AEW, he had one match, and that was against Matt Sydal, and I think it went like 4 or 5 minutes. And I said, if you think about Andrade's 90-day no-compete clause with WWE, and he only had to wrestle 5 minutes in the first 3 months with AEW, in 6 months, Andrade, this is not no bullshit jobber, Andrade El Idolo, in 6 months, wrestled 5 minutes between the two companies. So Andrade, I don't think people realize like how long he's been there now. Somebody emailed this to me. I got to show it to you. This is how Andrade's 2021 AEW Dynamite has gone. And when you always hear me talking about smoke and mirrors, look at this. That is Andrade's total wins on AEW Dynamite since June. Since June. No, in June, no wins. In July, 1 win. No Dynamite wins in August. No Dynamite wins in September. None in October. No in November. No in December. 2 wins from June to December. Andrade, remember? Oh, they're stuck at the airport. Oh, I want to buy. I want this. Doesn't he want to buy Darby Allin? Now he wants to make a deal with Matt Hardy. It's all over the place, man. It is freaking all over the place. But you know what? Props to Andrade, man. Seriously. If I ever needed like an agent to represent me for like some type of employment somewhere, I would hire him. Seriously. You tell me, you wouldn't take that to like get like 6 months of pay, and you only have to work 5 minutes in the ring, and all you do in the backstage segments, oh, the Lucha Brothers, they're at the airport. Oh, no, they're there, Chavito, blah, blah, blah. Andrade is very, very smart man. I almost want to create an award just to give it to Andrade. Seriously. Maybe smartest wrestler of the year. Maybe we'll come up with that. Smartest wrestler of the year. Maybe Maybe we'll call it the Andrade Award for the smartest wrestler of the year. Now, speaking of creating awards, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. They came out with their year-end awards, and we're going to start putting our categories up, I think, next week. You look at how 2021 closed out, even with what went down with Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page. This is why you do not start your awards too early. Now, Pro Wrestling Illustrated gave a boatload of awards to AEW. Why? You see any WWE stars posing with the awards? Do you see it? Because Pro Wrestling Illustrated isn't what it used to be. So they come up with the awards, AEW, which they're smart. I mean, any press is good press, and getting an award is a good thing. So they came up with Faction of the Year, and they gave it to the Inner Circle. So we get a promo, Jericho touting the Inner Circle, Faction of the Year, blah, 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 blah. And Eddie Kingston shows up. And he's like, oh, Santana Ortiz, they've never been tag champs because of Chris Jericho. You know, the storyline is all over the fucking place. I mean, these are two grown-ass men fighting over a tag team. Technically, two tag teams. They're fighting over who Santana and Ortiz are going to gush over. By the way, why does Eddie Kingston give a shit about Jake Hager? When you see Santana and Ortiz walk off, and Eddie Kingston's like, hey, what do you think? And then Jake Hager walks off. If I was Eddie Kingston, I'd be like, I don't care about you. What happened to the Slammies? So many people got released. I don't think they might do the Slammies. They may still do it. So we get more promos, a lot of promos in a row. MJF comes out pissed off at what happened earlier, and you knew exactly where this was going. He's like, you all wanted it. Next week, you're finally going to get it. CM Punk versus Shawn Spears. This is like Bryan Danielson going through every member of the Dark Order. This is like who had to go through almost every member of the Inner Circle. I mean, they've done this so many freaking times already. But so next week we get CM Punk versus Shawn Spears. Now we get another backstage promo. This is the Young Bucks, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Britt Baker. And they issued a challenge next week. Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy versus Britt Baker and Adam Cole in a mixed tag match. Another promo. Hangman Page enters the ring, and Dan Lambert comes out moments after. Hangman Page talking about how 90 minutes wasn't enough, and it's this and that, and this is the title, this is all that matters, and he's proud to be champion. Dan Lambert comes out. He starts giving props to wrestlers of yesteryear, from Hangman Page's neck of the woods, Texas. He's bringing up Stan Hansen, Dory Funk, Terry Funk, and he's telling Hangman Page, you're a fake cowboy. Stop disrespecting the Blackjack Mulligans, the Dick Murdochs. Hangman Page is like, doing this. Is this cowboy shit? Or is this cowboy shit? And I'm just saying to myself, like, where is this going with Dan Lambert? So shout out to Big Armada 88. Thank you very much, my friend. Much love. I appreciate that super chat. Thank you. Much love. Appreciate it. So we're thinking, like, where's this going with Dan Lambert? You mean to tell me we're going to get Scorpio Sky versus Hangman Page? Not complaining, but you go from Bryan Danielson to that. I don't know. That seems awfully random. Ethan Page. Oh, yeah. Page versus Page. Do it in a cage. Page versus Page in a cage. Make DDP the special guest referee. Page versus Page with referee Page. No, instead, we get Lance Archer's music. Dan Lambert, when he had the confrontation with Hangman Page threatens to do something to Lambert. Lambert backtracks. I'm just going to go to the back. And I like Dan Lambert. I have praised it for a long time. Now it feels awfully, extremely scripted. There's something seriously missing. I mean, when he came across as an outsider that absolutely hates AEW and hates, Tony Khan and the fans and all this other stuff. And now it just feels like he's just another wrestling manager. The edge with Dan Lambert just seems to have fallen off, in my honest opinion. But Lance Archer comes out. Dan Lambert is acting like he's going to get his ass kicked. So Lambert goes back in the ring. Archer goes in the ring. And the next thing you know, Archer lays out Hangman Page and attacks him, puts a chair in the middle of the ring, hits the blackout on the chair. Looked great. So Lance Archer back from injury. Look, give me Lance Archer versus Hangman Page. I'm fine with that. But you mean to tell me, I know Jake the Snake recently had COVID, and obviously Jake the Snake is not as mobile as he used to be. We've talked about that before. Are they moving on from Jake the Snake? Are they now going with Dan Lambert as the manager of Lance Archer? It awfully feels that way. It feels that way. So there's your confrontation. More promos. Because like I said, we're now getting to the 9 o'clock hour. We're like, wait, there's still 4 matches left. We're going to see some Rapido. And we did. Next, we get, I have nothing against these two guys, but who seriously gives a flying fuck about this successful tag team of Lee Johnson and Brock Anderson? They're being interviewed by Tony Schiavone in the back with Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson is proud. They're in Horseman country. Tully shows up with FTR, and they issue a challenge next week on Dynamite. I think it's Dynamite. Didn't they challenge them? Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson versus FTR. I didn't see that announced for Dynamite. I don't know. Maybe they'll do it on Dark. I don't know. But that segment, honestly, there was a couple of segments tonight you could have used for other things. MJF did not have to come out later on in that night and ramp up the crowd just to announce Punk versus Spears next week. Right after the Wardlow stuff was over, he could have been frustrated, go to the announcer's table, grab a mic, and at the same time, before a commercial break, all right, I'm sick of this. Punk, you want this? All right, next week, you're all going to get it. Punk versus Shawn Spears. And that's it. Segment eliminated. Did we need to see Andrade at the very end with Matt Hardy? I want to make a deal with you. You like money? I want to make a deal with you. Segment 2, not needed. And then, like we just said, Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson, 3 fucking segments, not needed. Could have used it for other shit. So, Jade Cargill cuts a promo. The promos just keep on coming. Jade Cargill cuts a promo, looking back at her win. And we'll talk about the match that she had on Dark in a little bit. So finally we get back to the ring. Hikaru Shida versus Serena Deeb. And as Shida is walking down the ring, Deeb attacks her and works on the knee. And Shida is riding in pain. And look, I am not bitching just to bitch. I'm not one of those that do that. But I got to tell you, this was absolutely asinine to see. In storyline, if Shida's knee was that bad, what happened to doctors not medically clear? All right, okay. You're in a fucking wrestling ring. There was a lot of Bret Hart talk tonight because of a fruit roll-up. Just go on Twitter, you'll know what I mean. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, Bret Hart, like when he would put the sharpshooter on someone, he would work on the leg. He would kick the inner thigh. You did think of him versus Mr. Perfect and just keep pounding on that leg and weakening it. Ric Flair, before he hits the figure 4, just pounding and pounding, puts the figure 4 on, blah, 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 done. That's what you do in the ring. So what ends up happening, I'm telling you, if you didn't see it, please see it. And I hope to God Jim Cornette rips the living shit out of this, because Hikaru Shida is working on, is having her knee worked on by Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb rips the knee pad off. She rips the tape off. She starts taking Shida's knee and she's pounding it into the mat. Legal move. Shida's writhing in pain. So now what does Serena Deeb do? She puts her in like a one-legged crab, almost like a Boston crab, but a one-legged, submission. And Shida's screaming in pain. So the referees, Shida, you submit. And the referee just calls the bell. And the announcers, the storyline is that the referee knew that it was to stop the match. Otherwise, she could have been seriously injured. This ain't badminton. This is fucking professional wrestling. You're supposed to make someone writhe in pain when you do a submission move. When you put any submission move on someone and they're writhing in pain and they're trying to get to the rope and they're screaming and screaming. Imagine Steve Austin versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13. Steve Austin is bleeding, and there's blood all over his face. Steve, do you submit? And then before Steve Austin passes out simply because he's writhing in pain. Call for the bell. Call for the bell. It was asinine. Deeb didn't do anything illegal, and the referee calls for the bell. Shida was hurting too much. And then the announcers are trying to sell it like, well, the referee has to know. And fuck you. It was stupid. Very stupid. Now, if you want to know why Shida, they're doing this injury angle, I'm going to post a link after the show because I can't do it live, obviously. So for everyone on the replay, or any of you out there, just remember the time, 55:55. That's the time of the show right now. Because when I go like this, you're going to see a link pop up. Hikaru Shida, the reason why they wrote her off TV with this injury angle is she's going back to Japan. And there is a project in Japan. I was doing some research on it. She works for a company called Makai, Makai. And it's been around for many, many years. She's been involved with it before. Believe it or not, Asuka was part of it a long time ago. I don't want to say it's like a play, but it's like theater. And it's a mix of combat fighting, wrestling, and performance. It's performance art. And when I did this for the link, you're going to see a clip from last year of her doing it. In fact, here's a screenshot from that video. And it's very, very theatrical. So she is going back to Japan for this. And she's very much involved with it. She plays a character called Princess Tsuru, Tsuru, Princess Tsuru. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's got like a little bit of fantasy in it. Like some fantasy fighting, a little sci-fi. It's not bad. I mean, it's not something that I would really get into, but if you watch the video, the link that I put up, I think you'll be impressed. That actually is Shida on the left. And that was a screenshot of the last performance they did. So AEW is giving her time off to take part in that, which is fine. It's just, what they did earlier. You know what I would have done? There's nothing wrong with her submitting. She's in a lot of pain. She submits. After she submits, that's when Deeb should have taken, if you saw what she was doing with the knee, that's when she should have just smashed and not stop and try to have referees pull her apart. Just keep doing it and doing it. But the last moment we see of Shida, really, I mean, it just, I don't know. To me, it was not very good. More backstage segments. John Silver and Alex Reynolds issue a challenge to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. They will be defending the titles against those two on Rampage Friday. So now we get a very quick match. Penta versus Matt Hardy. First couple of minutes, it was a lot of gaga, getting the crowd to go zero, miedo, and Matt Hardy, delete, zero, miedo, delete. And it just kept going and kept going. It was fun. It was fun. When they came down to the match, pretty quick match. Penta with the fear factor on Matt Hardy, which was a little surprising. Matt Hardy loses. After the match is over, Malakai Black is called out by Penta. Now, if you remember last week, Ray Phoenix and Penta versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Remember the lights went out once and it came back on? Nothing happened. So I'm assuming that maybe that was mind games by Malakai Black. I don't know. But Penta issues a challenge. He calls out Malakai Black. The lights go out. Malakai Black is in the ring. And the next thing you know, you see the Brian Pillman Jr., Griff Garrison, Julie Hart. They come out and they're teaming up pretty much with Penta and they're beating down Malakai Black, and Malakai Black is laughing. So now the crowd is chanting, Brody King, Brody King, Brody King. The lights go out, they come back on, and in the ring is Brody King. And he takes out Garrison, he takes out Penta, Brian Pillman Jr. Not bad. So Brody King is now a member of the House of Black. And look, if you've never seen Brody King work, check out his Ring of Honor stuff. Check out his New Japan work. Pretty good. I mean, he's been, quite a few promotions. He's 35 years old, I believe. He's been wrestling not that long, but he's pretty good. Him and Malakai Black will be a very, very good tag team. I'm thinking, though, they may need a third member. Now, I'm not saying Pac will be the third member, but we had a little promo from Pac tonight, starting to tease his return to the ring. Remember, Moxley's coming back very soon. I told you 2 weeks ago that you're going to start seeing rumblings of people that Moxley is very close to a return, and he is. He's doing great, and, he's itching to return. I'm not saying it's going to happen next week, but it's going to happen soon. Oh, yeah, Mike, I agree. Julie Hart's got to turn. That should have happened weeks ago. I mean, they're milking it, but hey, you got Brody King in there first. Then maybe you do something afterwards. Maybe you do, you know what? I just thought about it. You have Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. versus Brody King and Malakai Black. And then maybe during that match, you have Julie Hart turn on Garrison and Pillman, and she joins the House of Black. Be really interesting to see her with a transforming her character into the House of Black. So, another backstage segment. This was a mess. Layla Hirsch, Red Velvet, and Chris Statlander talking about their 6-woman tag match on Rampage. But at that time, they don't even say who the opponents were, if you go back and watch it. And basically, here's another can they coexist thing. Layla Hirsch is calling out Chris Statlander. You're having a mixed tag match next week. You're very selfish. You do this. First of all, the fucking match on Rampage is Friday, and it's technically being taped tonight. What the fuck does next week have to do with it? Oh, no. And Red Velvet's like, look, if we're going to win this match, I need you both together on the same page. It's pretty much can they coexist? We find out later on that their opponents are Penelope Ford, the Bunny, and Nyla Rose. The Acclaimed over Bear Country. This match, not the Acclaimed's fault. I don't like Bear Country. There's something seriously lacking with the two. And they get a lot of work on Dark. Maybe they just need stronger opponents, more substantial, established opponents that could actually dictate the match a little bit, because it would just seem like a mess. Even the end of the match where Anthony Bowens distracted Bear Boulder and snapped his neck on the rope. The crowd was dead. I mean, dead. It just did not come off well. Now, the Acclaimed, Max Caster cracks a joke about Sting. So what ends up happening after the match is over, Sting comes out. A lot of Acme Insta-feuds tonight. We ultimately find out that next week we're getting the Acclaim versus Darby Allin and Sting. Now, that match next week, pay very close attention to that match next week, and I'll tell you why. You will remember when we talked about Brian Cage, the number one contender. You remember Pac, number one contender. Especially Pac was a number one contender for weeks way back. And what ended up happening was once AEW realized, we're not going to do anything with them with a title match at that time, they would lose a match, and then they were no longer the number one contender. Right now, the Acclaimed, I believe, are the number one contenders. So are we going to get the Acclaimed versus Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy? I'm not so sure. I mean, they could still get a match anytime. My point is, they have now been number one contenders for a little while. They lose to Sting and Darby Allin next week. This might be the same thing that happened with Brian Cage and others, that they get to this is why this top 5 shit, I don't pay no mind to. It's a joke. It's a joke. Look at Dustin Rhodes getting the TNT title shot, the interim titles at Battle of the Belts. Why? What happened to the other contenders? Oh, Cody can't do it. We're going to do an interim champion. No, we'll just have Dan Lambert bitch that Scorpio Sky doesn't get the match. That makes it better. So, announced for next week's Dynamite, Trent, excuse me. Oh, here, this is next week. Dynamite. Serena Deeb versus Sky Blue. The Acclaim versus Sting and Darby Allin. The mixed tag match, CM Punk versus Shawn Spears, and Cody will be returning. Like I said, Cody was only 1 week. This whole interim thing was designed. I said it even before Battle of the Belts. That interim match that was announced was designed for one thing and one thing only. Try to make Cody versus Sammy Guevara title for title. Overbooked? I would say so. Miro, Mike, hold that thought about Miro, because I do actually have a picture to share of Miro in a few moments. So the main event tonight, not a bad match. Chris Jericho earlier in his promo, he was going to be at ringside with Sammy Guevara. Why, I have no idea. Well, I do know. I mean, he said that if 2.0 get involved, he's going to be right there. Isn't that what the fucking referee is for? If 2.0 get involved, the referee ejects them or calls for the DQ. Jericho, oh no, I'm going to be at ringside. I think Kingston's going to be out there too. And Jericho's like, look, if 2.0 gets involved, I'm going to kick their ass. Eddie, if you get involved too, I may kick your ass too. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. So what ends up happening? Daniel Garcia showcases what he can do. Sammy Guevara basically selling a lot of Daniel Garcia's offense. 2.0 come out towards the end of the match. Jericho stops them. And Sammy Guevara ultimately with his version of the go to sleep. And he gets the quick win on Daniel Garcia. After the match is over, Daniel Garcia hits the ring, 2.0. Jericho with the bat, kind of doing a little bit of a Sting impersonation with the bat. And we go off the air with Eddie Kingston. And again, this is not what you do on the streets. It's all about you, Chris. You're selfish, Chris. You're selfish. Why? Because he fucking stopped Sammy. Why does Eddie Kingston give a shit about Sammy Guevara for? It's just, I don't know. It's too booked. Oh, too overly booked, a lot of it. It was a fun night. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of it is just written way too deep. Not needed. So, yeah, and we got almost a 2-minute overrun to boot. It did seem awfully quick. When I came in here, I was like, wow, it's 10:05 already. So next week, I gave you the Dynamite matches. The Rampage preview for Friday is Trent Beretta versus Adam Cole. Andrew Everett versus Shawn Spears. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus Alex Reynolds and John Silva. And no, we're not getting Mercedes Martinez versus Thunder Rosa. Instead, we're getting a special look at their feud. I don't know. Rampage seems like a little bit of a miss to me, if you want me to be honest. So, and then we get the 6-woman tag match. You got Nyla Rose, the Bunny, and Penelope Ford versus Layla Hirsch, Chris Statlander, and Red Velvet. Almost said Velvet Sky. Red Velvet. So that was your version of Dynamite tonight. Now, at Battle of the Belts, they had the AEW Dark tapings. And some of the matches that they had Hangman Page team up with Alan Angels and 10, Preston Vance. They beat Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, and Serpentico. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus beat QT Marshall and Nick Camarado in a championship eliminator match. Jade Cargill beat Sky Blue in an eliminator match. Sure, the titles were not on the line, but they could have easily put Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus in there against John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Why not? That could have been on Battle of the Belts. But, they went with Sammy Guevara versus Dustin. Some of the other matches from Dark, Daniel Garcia over Fuego del Sol. I'm just going through the matches that, had some big names on it. Eddie Kingston over Joey Janela. Orange Cassidy over J.D. Drake. Anthony Ogogo back in action. He beat Baron Black. And the other names pretty much, padding the numbers. So, pretty loaded Dark, but that's why there was to please the live fans that came there for Battle of the Belts. I think those fans would have been awfully disappointed if they didn't get some of the other champions wrestling on that night. So, some quick news. Tony Schiavone, for everybody that can't wait for his contract to expire in AEW, you're going to have to wait 2 extra years. He has signed a 2-year contract extension with AEW. And I'm happy. I like Tony Schiavone. His interaction with Britt Baker gets a little odd sometimes because Britt Baker is a heel. And that fawning, I don't care how close their friendship is. Tony Schiavone's not a heel announcer. So that's a little But I like Tony Schiavone. And I'm happy that he is happy and doing well. And he will be around for 2 more years. Okay. Before we talk about the NXT results, let me quickly bring up a couple other things. All right, Johnny Gargano. I definitely want to mention this. Johnny Gargano has a pro wrestling tees store. He's sold shirts in the past. I own a couple of shirts. And something really interesting, very interesting happened. A limited edition Johnny Gargano shirt has been put up for sale. And that is a picture of the shirt. It's only available for 2 weeks. And it is a limited edition Iron Man colorway shirt. And take note of the date that this shirt will be sold only up until January 25th. January 25th, AEW is going to be in Columbus, Ohio. January 25th, Columbus, Ohio happens to be where Johnny Gargano is from. And a lot of people are starting to think that the reason why this shirt is only going to be up for sale until January 25th is because that night he may debut for AEW, and then his shirts will be sold through AEW's store. Now, my honest opinion on this, why can't they sell this shirt in the AEW store? I mean, yes, if AEW gets a percentage of the sales, if that percentage is higher than what Pro Wrestling Tees takes as a cut, then maybe Johnny Gargano, you sell this shirt, try to get as much direct revenue as possible, then you join up with AEW. The other scenario that nobody's thinking about is the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is January 29th, a couple of days later. So he could possibly be in the Royal Rumble. I'm not saying one or the other, but I will say this, very interesting that they chose that date to only have this shirt up for sale until. So what does this mean? January 25th. Does he show up in AEW? Does he return to WWE at the Royal Rumble? We'll have to wait and see. So you want to pick up that shirt, go to the Pro Wrestling Tee store. It's a nice shirt. I mean, I do own a couple of Gargano shirts. I wore one last week, and they're nice shirts. All right, Miro. Somebody asked before about Miro. A lot of fitness sites wrote about it today. Wrestling news sites wrote about it today. For those that didn't know, Miro has been dealing with some injuries. Nothing serious, but that's kept him out of action for a little bit. It didn't stop him from working out on his upper body and dieting and really going massively hardcore with his workout. Guys, gals, I don't know who originally posted this picture. It's been reposted a trillion times today, but somebody posted a picture of Miro when he was Rusev. And honestly, I think this is more when he was Alexander Rusev. And then you see a picture of him now. If you have not seen Miro in the last 4 to 6 weeks, this is not photoshopped in any way. I don't think he's on keto, Joe New. He might be on, what's that other diet? The carnivore. He might be on carnivore. I seriously think he could very well be on carnivore. Look at this picture. That is Miro right now. It looks like somebody photoshopped his head on somebody else's body. I mean, he has lost weight, but he has lost almost all of his body fat. I mean, he's got to be in the single digits as far as body fat goes. That is crazy. I mean, I have nothing but compliments for this guy. But when you see it side by side, you know, it's pretty wild. Yeah. So look at that shit, man. Miro, looking good. Hey, I'm a heterosexual male, and I will even fawn over that. I'm impressed. His head is not too big for his body. You know what I think it is? I think it's the beard. I think the extra hair on the beard is making his head look bigger than what it is. I think that's what it is. So let me just quickly get into the NXT results, and then I want to mention Ring of Honor. Then we'll get out of here. We'll be done in about 15 minutes. So NXT yesterday. And again, you know, for anybody out there that still complains, you know, this is developmental. It's not black and gold anymore. It's developmental. It's something that I've been saying for 2 years they needed to do. They don't have an OVW. They don't have a Heartland. This is broken record. I've been saying this for a very long time. They don't even have house shows where the Lash Legends and others could perform in front of 50 fans without TV. They're forced to do this. There's no touring right now because of COVID and other reasons. So it's developmental. People out there, Mish and I yesterday on Patreon, we had such a crazy, powerful discussion for about 45 minutes that I'm trying to get it on YouTube as a clip. I don't post clips, but this conversation was so strong that it's probably I'm so proud of that clip. It's probably the best conversation he and I has had about any topic in at least 5 years. The only problem is we played a couple of clips of Ariel Helwani's interview with Nick Khan. And I want to make sure I'm not going to have any issues. I got to make sure I get permission that I can play those clips. But NXT developmental, you know, so I'm just going to get mainly into results and a couple of other tidbits. Braun Breaker opening up NXT and basically calling out the roster. And he's been working his ass off. And the fans, some chanting, "You deserve it," some kind of going against it. You know, but Braun Breaker basically telling the locker room, you know, what a lot of people realize, that even though he's a rookie and even though he only has a couple of matches under his belt, he's been training for years and years and years. He's been watching film for years and years and years. So he's ready for any challenges that happen. Good promo. Again, this is still developmental, so it's not going to be perfect, but he definitely belongs, and he's doing a great job. The Dusty Rhodes Cup, the Tag Team Classic, they started the matches yesterday. One of the matches that was on the card was for a qualifier, and it was Adris Enofi and Malik Blade over Harlan and Joe Gacy by DQ. Match was okay, but the referee calling for a quick DQ because Harlan is out of control. I honestly didn't like this match. I don't know why they did this as like the first match out of the gate. I expected a more competitive, you know, anything, you know, you can't pick a winner match. That's how I would have opened up, but this is what they chose to do. Yeah, so Fly, you're right. Holland is new. He needs a lot of work, a ton of work still. He just started. to be a wrestler. We're seeing how the sausage is made, which is something that we shouldn't see like we do, but there's no other options. This is the only way they can develop right now because they can't do house shows. It's not the third brand anymore. John Cena did an interview. We closed that out yesterday on Patreon. John Cena did an interview yesterday. Very, very interesting interview because John Cena gives his opinions why all these releases happen. I guarantee you, the people out there that insist that WWE is killing Triple H and ruining his legacy, this kind of goes against the grain a little bit as well. Cameron Grimes over Damon Kemp, and the storyline behind this is that maybe one of them is being scouted for Diamond Mine. Santos Escobar over Zion Quinn. The winner gets basically Elektra Lopez. Basically, Elektra Lopez turns on Zion Quinn, kicks him in the nuts. Santos Escobar gets the win. She stays with Legado del Fantasma. Tony D'Angelo over Pete Dunne in a crowbar on a pole match. We got into this on Saturday with Tommaso Ciampa and Pete Dunne doing dark matches and main event matches. There is a strong possibility that they could be going to the main roster. They might be in the Royal Rumble. So we talked about it Saturday that if Pete Dunne is coming to the main roster or is going to be in the Royal Rumble, then he was likely going to be doing the favors to Tony D'Angelo on the way out. Match was okay. Pete Dunne doing the favors for Tony D'Angelo. He doesn't lose any value because of it. No problems with it. Wendy Chu. I still can't get over all of those people out there that knew who she was, but tried to push this narrative that fans are sleeping in NXT. And they were serious about it. Like, look, it's so boring, people are sleeping. They knew it was just a planted wrestler, the former Mae Young. But she teamed up with Indy Hartwell and Persia Parada. They beat Amari Miller, Casey Canizaro, and Kaden Carter. And I'm telling you, I actually like it. For the people that are saying, oh, it's an Orange Cassidy ripoff, believe me. Wrestlers being extremely lackadaisical in their matches is not something that Orange Cassidy created. Orange Cassidy has a style all to himself. But this is not the first time that someone is played like a little bit of a lazy character and stuff. But I like that she's almost like in her pajamas and then goes to sleep right after. So look, I posted pictures of Karen Q a couple of weeks ago. She's good. She's good. The Mae Young character was not good. Not good. Yesterday we had Boa, and Boa's taking on Solo Sikoa, end up in a double count out, but they did like this, I mean, doesn't have face paint, then he does have face paint, and they're teasing this brawl. Honestly, I have nothing against Boa, but something is missing, and it's not Xia Li, and it's not Mae Young. Something is just not. I feel like he's got to be paired with somebody else. Him on his own, something is seriously missing. I don't see it catching on. And again, nothing against him. I'm just being honest. There are some wrestlers. Look at the Grizzled Young Veterans. Remember when I said WWE's going to have to put them in comedy skits to try to get them over? I don't know what else you do about them. What else do you do about them? I mean, having Walter coming to the States is incredible. Walter may end up being the first opponent for Braun Breaker, which would be pretty wild. I mean, I don't know how you get away with that one, because you got people out there that think that Braun Breaker should hold his belt for a year. You put Walter in NXT, holy shit. That gets freaking wild, man. So the main event yesterday, and I don't think this was much of a surprise, AJ Styles defeating Grayson Waller. In defeat, Grayson Waller definitely raised his stock. I he hasn't clicked with me yet. To me, and I've said it before, he reminds me of the early 90s version of Vanilla Ice, just with a little bit more normal hair. You look at his cheekbones and his face, he reminds me of Vanilla Ice a lot. Even his physique reminds me of Vanilla Ice. But WWE sees something big in this guy. And AJ Styles defeated him, which was the right way to go. It was the right way to go. I love this. I've been saying it for a couple of years that why isn't WWE sending somebody from the main roster to help develop the stars, give a little rub office. They don't always have to lose the big stars, but this is great. This is great. I like the commingling. I like the name dropping. You know, I like that NXT is mentioned on the main shows. I like that you see Grayson Waller showing up on Raw. And who knows where it goes from here. Obviously, some of this is happening to tie into the Royal Rumble. You will get some NXT stars in the Royal Rumble. I think you have to. Io Shirai, Raquel Gonzalez, LA Knight, I would put in the Royal Rumble. There's quite a few. I don't know if I would put Braun Breaker in the Royal Rumble, but you know what? That would be pretty cool. I think hearing that giant audience from the Royal Rumble popping for Braun Breaker, I think that would be a nice little moment for us to remember. Carmelo Hayes, my God, Carmelo Hayes. I mean, I've been singing the praise for that guy since day one. And he's now the A champion. The A champion. So, yeah, I could see him possibly in the Royal Rumble. But after Grayson Waller loses, he's up the rampway, and LA Knight's music hits. LA Knight comes out, and we'll probably see LA Knight and Grayson Waller now have a feud out of this. But, you know, LA Knight and AJ Styles showing some respect to each other. And that's how they go off the air. And it was a fun night. I mean, not bad, not perfect. It's developmental. It's never going to be perfect. It's not going to be like the days of yesteryear. Let it go. Let it go. I say it a trillion times. WWE doesn't have a wrestling school. They don't have a Nightmare Factory. They don't have an OVW. They don't have any developmental territory. NXT, they took their eyes off the ball. 2 years ago, I said they either have to create a developmental territory, or NXT has to go back. Some place has got to develop the stars from tomorrow without as much pressure as possible. And that's what NXT has done. Look, the Nick Khan interview from August of last year, Nick Khan said exactly what's happening now. Shouldn't be a surprise. I think people just want to keep holding on to this black and gold just for a reason to criticize the current product. It's drastically different, but, you know, obviously the low ratings and, you know, the social media backlash and the constant knocking and seeing the lack of, you know, stars, young stars, unestablished stars not coming out of there. And, you know, I went on my rants last week. Some of the people they hired from the indie scene, you know, and I mentioned it yesterday with Mish. You know, you look at Gabe Sapolsky and others, and I don't have any issues with Gabe anymore. But you look at some of those guys, and yeah, they were responsible for Ring of Honor. They helped develop the stars like CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and everything else. But the one thing I think everybody stops and doesn't think about is when these wrestlers that came through Gabe Sapolsky and Evolve and other places, even though they were on the right path, Gabe Sapolsky and others were never able to get those guys to perform in front of 2,000 people unless it was WrestleMania weekend. So it's like someone who can build cars, but all he can do is build the outer shell, but you can't build the engine to make it into a race car. So he has no track record of building stars so big that they're drawing thousands and thousands of fans on a regular basis. Ring of Honor for the last bunch of years has only drawn a couple of hundred. Evolve. Did you ever look at an Evolve show? On average, what, a couple of rows of seats? I mean, these are the big stars of tomorrow, and you can't get, wherever they're touring, you can't get 1,000 people outside of another promotion being in that area to say, oh my God, I got to see this person live. I got to see this person live. Oh my God, I got to see this person live. Why is that? So what happens in NXT? They're building stars, and the stars only getting 600,000 viewers. They're getting almost no merchandise sold. They're getting some buzz on social media, but they're not doing anything to show that these stars could be even bigger. And WWE doesn't want to waste that time by bringing them to the main roster. And they made mistakes, no question. So, yes, Gabe was one of the ones fired last week, Benjamin. So, speaking of Ring of Honor, I want to close with this. Ring of Honor is returning April 1st. Supercard of Honor. This is their announcement. Tickets for the annual pay-per-view extravaganza go on sale next Friday, January 21st at 11 a.m. for the Honor Club members, and Friday, January 28th for everybody else. Since 2006, Supercard of Honor has been the stage for some of Ring of Honor's most memorable and historic matches featuring the best wrestlers on the planet. And it will be taking place at the Curtis Colwell Center, $49.99. That's not the price, that's the address. $49.99 in Naaman Forest Boulevard in Garland, Texas, 75040. I went on MapQuest and did a little bit of research. It's about 20 miles from Dallas. It's not bad. But obviously that's WrestleMania weekend. Obviously Impact is going to be in Texas. There's tons of promotions that are going to be in Texas. So I am very happy that this event is happening. But if you look at my synopsis for tonight's show, I added 2 extra words next to this announcement. Then what? This is to get the rub off of WrestleMania. This is to piggyback what happened on Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill event. What happens after this event where there is no WrestleMania coming up? Does Ring of Honor go back to Ring of Honor in name only? And I will keep saying, because no one else will do it, I will keep saying it. What was the purpose of all these tributes? What was this purpose of people in wrestling, very important people saying, thank you, Ring of Honor, for an amazing run. We're going to miss you and all this stuff. I mean, Carrie Silken did that interview, or was it Carrie Silken or Joe Koff? I think it might have been Joe Koff. I think it was Joe Koff did an interview, and no. I think it was Carrie Silken. One of those two did an interview and said, for everybody that's saying that Ring of Honor is done, you're being misinformed. And you think they would ask the follow-up question, well, then what were all these tributes for? What were all these tributes for? Seriously. You know what I think these tributes were for? You know what I think all the tweets and stuff were for? I go one or two ways with this. Number one, Ring of Honor is done. They're going to get the WrestleMania bump to get some revenue so they could still do some things online and handle some expenses. Obviously, they still have expenses. They still have servers. They still have bandwidth. They're still going to try to sell the digital, the content that they already have. There's still a lot of expenses. So this money will help towards that. After this event, I think it goes back to name only. I think that's what it does. And if it doesn't go back to name only and they do continue having events, then I think all of these, announcements, hypes, tributes, I think that was all designed to try to convince fans, holy shit, this is the last ever Ring of Honor event. I got to order it. Look at Session Moth Martina. I like her. She wrote in response to this announcement of Ring of Honor's return on April 1st, she wrote, instant sellout. I hope she's right. But you see where I'm going with this? What happens afterwards? I want to see 6 months from now what Ring of Honor actually is. Is it just a name only? Okay, a bunch of wrestlers show up on another promotion You really think they're being paid by Ring of Honor? They're being paid by the promotion because the promotion wants to use them on the show. So I want to see where this is 6 months from now. But I said it the night of Final Battle. If they're saying that, no, people are misinformed, we're just reimagining it, why do all these tributes get aired? See, the people on social media, I have no problem with them paying tribute. Why did Ring of Honor air all of those tributes during the pay-per-view if they knew they were not going out of business? If they knew that they were going to still continue and they were going to continue April 1st? Why did they air those tributes? For a cash grab? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but, let's take a step back and think about it. What was the purpose of that? All right. So, everyone, I am going to jet out of here. And I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. I don't know if it came across, but I'm a little bit under the weather. Okay. My car broke down on Saturday. I thought it was my starter that stopped working, and ended up it was a battery. Shocked the shit out of me that a battery would just go like that. I mean, it went. So today I had to jump it. I had to bring it to a mechanic. I sat in a mechanic shop for 2 hours with no heat, which is fine. And then I had to fix my freaking oven. And then my office had no heat. So all day today I was very, very cold, drinking lots of tea and stuff. But I will be here tomorrow at 10:05 p.m. for Q&A. And again, that'll be live for our channel members, a little way of giving back. And if you're not going to tune in tomorrow, remember I will be here Saturday night for the Don Tony Show. That'll start at 8:05 p.m. And I have quite a few things to get into that night. We'll talk Saturday about AEW and if they need to hire a PR firm that specializes in social media. We'll delve into what happened with Kenny Omega a few days ago, the back and forth with him and Jim Cornette, the Tony Khan stuff. And it's not just those two guys. There's other people as well. Does AEW need to hire a PR firm to handle the social media? So that's a little discussion I think that we should have. But I thank you all. On the way out, if you enjoyed tonight's show, you could do this guy a solid and hit that like button. It does help. It definitely tells YouTube that they should recommend the show to others. I would love to see that number go up a little bit before I officially go off the air. And if you're not a subscriber yet, you enjoy the channel, subscribe. Monday, we get into the weekend news and Raw recaps. Today, Wednesdays, we talk about NXT, AEW, and any other indie news. Thursday is Q&A for our members, channel members, and we get into some vintage stuff, some of my older wrestle crap stuff that I did in wrestling and other things. Saturday is the Don Tony Show, and that is the show where we get into the big topics at hand. And then Sunday is live calls and live chat. So each show, we're trying to have like a different theme to it. And I think we're starting to get into the rhythm that we want to. But thank you very much, everyone. Much appreciated. Thank you for always making these shows fun. And I'm out of here. Be well, everybody. I'll talk to you all soon. Good night. Why aren't you working? I have to do this manually. Boo. All right.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, Nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.